KJ Wright from the Seattle Seahawks, and you are watching NorbCam.
This is Walter Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Nate Burleson, you're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam. You're watching NorbCam.
What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you with another Bleacher Report live stream talking about the latest and greatest regarding your Seattle Seahawks. Appreciate you joining the show. Please follow me here on Bleacher Report as well as on my social media channels. You can find me everywhere, as you can see down below, at NorbCam on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and as well on Facebook. A lot going on today and this week. Busy time in the offseason for the new coaching staff for your new head coach, Mike Macdonald. A lot of changes, new personnel coming in practically every day, a new announcement, but big decisions do have to be made, and we're going to get into some of that here for the next 30 minutes. Once again, my name is Norb Kawili, and you are watching NorbCam. And we're going to get right into this. First, some breaking news of this morning. The Seahawks have signed, it looks like is going to be signed, a new coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Not an offensive coordinator. I think we've all been holding our breath who the new offensive coordinator is going to be, other coordinator positions, but it looks like the Seattle Seahawks will have themselves a new special teams coordinator. Just in today, Jay Harbaugh, son of Jim Harbaugh, who has been at Michigan as their special teams coordinator, is reportedly going to be the special teams coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, bringing his experience with Michigan since 2017. He also worked under Mike Macdonald while at the Ravens in 2014. So Jay Harbaugh has a little connection, not only both those coaches, Macdonald and Harbaugh, having obviously experience over at Michigan, but even at the Ravens as well. So yet another good hiring, it looks like, at this point for Mike Macdonald and his team, slowly building that roster, that coaching roster together. And big move today as that is announced. Now we're still waiting on an OC and a DC to be determined, but another coaching addition was made over late last week, and that was the addition of longtime veteran coach and coordinator Leslie Frazier. He joined Mike Macdonald's staff as well, and this is a great hire. Talking about bringing in somebody who's got veteran experience, was a former player, played on that 1985 team that won the Super Bowl, that vaunted Chicago Bears defense. Shortly thereafter, retired from the NFL and got a series of different coaching stints dating all the way back to when he became a defensive backs coach with it started in the University of Illinois, but then defensive backs coach with the Eagles in the late 90s into the early 2000s, and then a coordinator with the Bengals, a defensive assistant with the Colts in 2005, and then moved up to assistant head coach and defensive backs coach with the Colts, then the Vikings, the defensive coordinator, assistant head coach and D coordinator with the Vikings, eventually becoming an interim head coach in 2010, and then the regular head coach from 2011 to 2013, defensive coordinator with the Buccaneers following that, then moved to the Ravens in 2016 as the secondary coach, Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2019, and became the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator from 2020 to 2022, which, looking at the most recent stint with the Bills, that was one of the lowest, had one of the best scoring defenses in terms of points allowed during his time with the Bills. So excited about what he brings to the table. Again, it looks like, at least from a philosophical standpoint, the Seahawks going heavy with a defensive-minded front in terms of the coaching staff, which obviously a glaring need for the Seattle team, being that we've had one of the worst defenses in the league for the last 2 years, desperately needing a refresher and a shakeup and a new philosophy and mindset. And so far, these two combined with their history brings a lot of promise to shaking up and getting a major revamping on the defense. So excited about that hire. I just think also having a former player, Super Bowl champion, who also with his veteran experience brings that, just to kind of offset the youth as the youngest coach, Mike Macdonald, at 36 years old. Frazier, who's in his 60s, brings that, that mentor, that older, just the guy who's been around the block, the guy who's got, not only who's been around as a coach and a coordinator, but played the game. It's always nice to have that connection, the veteran presence to go along with the youthful energy of the new coach. So I think it's a great hire on many different levels, but just love the fact that we are looking to really address the biggest issue, which is, of course, the defense. So Leslie Frazier, great addition as assistant coach. So as far as speaking of a coordinator, so offensive coordinator candidates, that's the biggest, I think, obviously, to offset all this defensive focus. Who will be the offensive coordinator who Mike Macdonald is going to rely heavily on to jumpstart this offense and really get this thing humming to the level where I think all Seahawks fans want to see it become, because it's felt like we've just been pretty good, but I've never really tapped into the full potential with the weapons that we have, with the running backs that we have now, tight ends, what was a three-headed tight end monster, feeling like, did we really take full advantage of them? And then, of course, our weapons in receiver, in DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And, of course, at the helm, currently, Geno Smith. We need an offensive coordinator who can feel like they are getting the most out of those weapons, but also who's innovating, keeping up with our division rivals, who right now you got Sean McVay, you got Shanahan at the 49ers, whose offenses just look like they're on a next level. And how can we get there? What's it going to take? What kind of coaches, what kind of coordinators are out there that could potentially be candidates? So there's a couple that come to mind that I've got my eye on. And we'll see if one of these potentially come their way to Seattle here. The first one comes from the Detroit Lions coaching staff. Now, we were all very excited the possibility of getting Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator. He ultimately took no jobs and decided to stay with Detroit. But Tanner Entrant, I believe that's how you say his name, passing game coordinator with the Detroit Lions, he's the one really, when he came onto the scene, it seems like his arrival really infused the Detroit Lions offense with, what we're seeing now. Very innovative, utilizing the running backs, the tight ends, the receivers, getting the most out of Jared Goff. And I think it's been instrumental to helping Ben Johnson as OC, getting that offense in rhythm and getting most out of their weapons. And so he could be a potential hire if they could intrigue him to come this way west to join the Seattle Seahawks. I think that would be a very good potential OC candidate for the Seahawks. Another one that gets me excited is, this has been rumored a lot, and of course, if you're a Seahawks fan and a Husky fan here in Seattle, you can't help but think about this and wipe the drool off your mouth a little bit for the potential. But Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator for the Huskies, who, with the departure of Kalen DeBoer to Alabama, brought pretty much his whole coaching staff along with him. But there is rumor out there that the Seahawks are potentially interested, in Ryan Grubb as their offensive coordinator. And while he's, would be new to the NFL game, when you see what he's done with the Husky offense, I think what's really fun to watch and what gets me excited is if you spend any time watching the Huskies offense, they have so much pre-snap motion, misdirection, and shifting that it's confusing as a fan just to watch how many times they've got so many players in all different directions, changing configurations, lineups, flip-flopping guys from either side. Now, of course, that works great in the college game where they often go no huddle and they've got a long play clock and they just look to the sideline for the play and then they've got 20-plus seconds to shift things around. It might be a little different going to the pro game. Will they have that kind of time? It may not be quite as complicated, but I just have seen not just formationally, but obviously the results with the University of Washington making it to the national championship and the success that offense had all season, going undefeated all year, except, of course, in that final game. But nonetheless, the potential of what he could bring in this infusion going young. I mean, we're going young at head coach. Do we go young, innovative, new guy on the scene at offensive coordinator? Could the Seahawks be the one to bring, break out this coordinator from his college ranks and debut in the NFL and bring his style of offense to the Seattle Seahawks? I think it would be a fun thing to see. But will the Seahawks opt to go with somebody more established, somebody who's had coordinating experience in the NFL level? That's yet to be determined. So those are two candidates that I, right now, are interested in, and we'll see if any more come along the scene. But I think they're going to have to decide pretty soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make that decision sometime this week, because we've got some important deadlines coming up, and I want to talk about those with certain players whose salaries are kind of on the line here, and decisions have to be made before the middle of this month, because if they don't, it's going to have some major effects on certain players and their status with the team as it pertains to them financially. So the 16th of February is a crucial day, because for 4 Seahawks players, their salaries will be fully guaranteed in 2024 should they remain on the team. And this is similar to the issue that the Broncos had with Russell Wilson, where with that injury guarantee, that basically they keep him on and they keep that injury guarantee. So if he's on the roster, that salary for the upcoming year becomes fully vested. Slightly different because Russ's was an impactful one for the following year. In this case, these are players for the Seahawks whose guaranteed salary would be for 2024. So these are the 4 players. Geno Smith, the big one. He's got a base salary of $12.7 million, but there's bigger numbers to that I'll get into in a second. But his salary becomes fully guaranteed if he's on the team on February 16th. DK Metcalf, $13 million base salary. Also in that boat, Uchenna Nwosu also has a similar one. His base salary, which is low in the scale of things, only $1.125 million, but he has an $8.75 million option bonus on his contract. So that's, again, another number, which I'm going to look into the salary cap ramifications in just a second. The 4th player there is Draymond Jones. And he's got a portion of his base salary injury guaranteed and will become fully guaranteed. This case, slightly later in the schedule, this will be the Friday following the Super Bowl, and that would be an amount of $7 million. So these 4 players, the Seahawks have to decide, if they are going to commit to them, because, again, if they stay on the roster, they basically are committed because the money's going to get fully guaranteed. So the Seahawks salary cap situation is very tricky right now, because if you, according to SportTrack, with the salary cap right now, the Seahawks are actually over the cap by about $800,000. And so right now, they don't have much room to do much of anything. There's definitely going to be some cuts made. There's going to probably be maybe some contract reworking of certain players' contracts to make room to be able to sign and acquire more players. But let's just look at the salary cap for a second. From a standpoint of who's got the biggest salary cap hit, this is what the salary cap, if these players stay on the team for 2024, these are the top 4 players and their salary impacts. So at the top of that is Geno Smith. He accounts for a cap hit of $31,200 all in for 2024. That's 12.5% of the cap. So the biggest question really starts with Geno Smith. Does Michael McDonald plan to keep Geno Smith at least for one more year? The price tag of him staying with the team is $31 million. Okay. Next up is Tyler Lockett. And I've heard a lot of people talking about Tyler Lockett as we need to start looking at going another way with him and this and that. Well, from a financial standpoint, he is the number 2 guy on the cap, 11.15%. His cap hit is $27 million. I wish it was $27,000. $27,845,000. Just a little bit behind Geno Smith. So that's number 2. The third one, and this one pains me to say it, but Jamal Adams, 10.78% of the cap, $26.9 million salary cap hit, being if he's on the roster for 2024. Fourth on the list would be DK Metcalf, 9.81% of the cap, $24.5 million is his cap hit. So let's just kind of talk real quick about the savings that could be gained if these players were to be cut. Geno Smith, again, $31.2 million on the cap. His dead cap number would be $17.4 million. So you'd save about a little less than $14 million if we were to not bring Geno back next year, $14 million. So keep that number in mind. Tyler's not as big, 27.8, as I said earlier. His cap, dead money cap is 19.7. So we're talking about $8 million savings if Tyler Lockett does not come back in the team. Jamal Adams, the number shrinks the further down we go down the list here. Again, 26.9. His dead cap number is 20.8. So about $6 million saved if he does not return the dead cap money hit. And DK's is not even worth discussing because it goes from 24.5 to 23 is his dead cap number. So you're bringing DK Metcalf back no matter what. So Draymond Jones, talking about him and his potential salary, his cap hit is $18.17 million. And if he were to be, his dead cap number is 13.3, so about a little under $5 million should they not bring him back. And after that, the numbers are pretty small with the rest of the players. Uchenna Nwosu kind of goes without saying he's going to be here. His cap number is only $8.1 million. And if you were to, $7.8 million, and his dead cap number would be outrageous. So Uchenna, you got to bring him back because he was such a huge player last year. There was life with Uchenna Nwosu and then life without him. And the life without him, boy, it was like the tale of two cities when it came to our defense. So it's a totally different situation. Definitely, he's a must-keeper. So that's kind of the situation, managing that salary cap for the Seattle Seahawks. Big task ahead of them. Where are they going to get the money savings from? Who stays? Who goes? And really, again, the biggest question I think here is Geno Smith. The question they have to answer is Geno Smith entering this season, is he worth $31.2 million to the Seattle Seahawks? And as a starting quarterback, rookie deals aside, that's not a bad deal. That's not the most expensive contract. You know, some of the guys are out there making 40, close to 50 million. You know, Geno's at 30, in the low 30s. That's not a bad quarterback deal. So I can see the argument for keeping him here. The Seahawks would most likely be looking to draft somebody, a quarterback. Would they go as high as to draft one in the first round with their first pick? Or would they get somebody in later rounds? But either way, I feel like it would make sense to keep Geno for at least one more year. They draft a quarterback who can learn under Geno and then be ready to go next year. I mean, I think that'd be the ideal scenario. Otherwise, you don't take Geno, then what? You're going to draft a quarterback and basically just say, throw him to the wolves and say, good luck, guy. You're our guy moving forward. Can you get a guy who can do that, can play that, ready to go at $60 million? Or is there another quarterback out there floating around who you could potentially get who's not going to cost as much? You know, the question is, can you get somebody better than Geno Smith for $31 million or less? Otherwise, you're paying more, or you're giving up tremendous draft capital. That's the tricky part of this whole equation. Now, Geno Smith coming off of the Pro Bowl this weekend. I didn't really watch the Pro Bowl. I watched a few highlights, but the Pro Bowl is kind of, it's more like you're just glad your players get in there, but does anybody really watch the game? I mean, it's just not exactly something that's that intriguing. But Geno Smith didn't exactly light it up at the Pro Bowl. Russell Wilson used to light up the Pro Bowl. That was kind of like his thing. He was really good at those, the quarterback target practice thing. And Geno Smith didn't exactly light it up, and he didn't exactly light it up in the game either. I guess he threw 3 interceptions, 1 pick six, and but I wouldn't hold too much of that, hold too much stock in that. I mean, it's the Pro Bowl, it's flag football. I mean, you're playing with different receivers, and it's just a for fun kind of game anyway. It's a circus. So hopefully not too many people are weighing too much. Like, I've seen a lot of people reacting to posts about Geno Smith throwing in 3 interceptions. Oh, Mike McDonald, you got to get rid of this guy. And I think that's a little crazy because, Geno had 9 interceptions this past year. He was down on the touchdowns from the previous year, but still, he was like 20-something touchdowns to 9 interceptions. That's not bad. That's not bad. I think we could all agree, numbers-wise, Geno Smith has played well as a quarterback. Maybe not fantastic, maybe not elite, but he has been a good, solid quarterback. And definitely can't blame missing the playoffs on him alone. So that's my opinion. I think he could come back for a year. Unless you got some better option out there that's floating that is ready to go and it's going to be an upgrade and that you can get for less. But that's hard to do. It's hard to find good starting quarterbacks out there. And draft is always a crapshoot. At least you know what you're getting from Geno. And it was good enough to make the playoffs. Let's be real about it. Okay, so going to this week, it is Super Bowl week. If you're a Seahawks fan, normally this is, I don't know where you stand on this. It's it's kind of a tough matchup when we saw what happened, rooting for what was previous weekend's NFC and AFC Championship games. I was definitely rooting for the underdogs. Well, I don't know if they're the underdogs, but rooting for the teams that didn't win. I was rooting for the Ravens to get in. I was rooting for the Lions to get in just to change the picture. Obviously, can't root for the 49ers. So, unfortunately, neither of those happened. So the 2 red teams come in, blowing the whole conspiracy theory logo thing out the window. But so now you got the Chiefs versus the 49ers. We'd love to know who you guys have in this game. You can comment or chat on this. But what's exciting for me this week is I am the Seahawks Fan of the Year representative. So I, along with 31 other fans of the year from the other 31 teams, will all be coming down on Thursday, congregating in Las Vegas to meet up and join in the Super Bowl festivities. Thursday night will be the NFL Honors, which they, of course, announce all the special accolades and awards to all the players. But they will also be announcing the NFL Fan of the Year, one who will be chosen from all 32 teams. So I do believe the voting window is still there. So if you go look up NFL Fan of the Year, vote on NFL.com, you can scroll down and find me down there and click and vote. That would be great if you could do that. You never know how the voting might sway things. But that announcement will happen at the NFL Honors. I will be attending that whole week's festivities with my dad, Kuya Burt. We've been to 2 Super Bowls already, Super Bowl 48 and Super Bowl 49, and this will be our 3rd one. I never thought in a lifetime we'd ever go to 1 Super Bowl. That's 3. So it's just a dream come true just to be there. Only wish my team was there with me, but and my dad's 84, so he's been around a long time, and every moment we have to enjoy things like this is really special. So later on the week, they've got other things. I'll be down checking out the NFL Experience on Friday, and Saturday will be the Sports Illustrated big pregame party that night, and then, of course, the Super Bowl itself. So I will be live streaming from inside Allegiant Stadium, as I always do on my YouTube channel at NorbCam. And so if you want to watch and see what it's like to be inside the building during the Super Bowl, you can watch the game on TV and kind of peek over and watch my reactions of the stream, as I will be a Chiefs fan that day, hoping to take down the 49ers, not because I'm necessarily a Chiefs fan, but just because you got to root for the team that goes against your rival. So that's what I'll be doing on Sunday. So feel free to join me on YouTube. And I will also be documenting the journey down there, is what's it like to go to the Super Bowl as a fan of the year. So I'll be doing some random videos throughout the trip, but also creating a longer form documentary of documenting the start of the trip from here to Seattle all the way to these different parties, the Super Bowl itself, and then coming back from the journey and seeing what the experience is like. Who do we see? Who do we run into? What celebrities we run into? What's it like hanging out with the other fans of the year? And seeing all that the Super Bowl experience has to offer in one of the craziest, wild, perfect settings for the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. So looking forward to that and sharing these experiences with you guys. So it's going to be great. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. Other things about this upcoming Super Bowl, as I'm down to the last 4 minutes here. Again, in the chat or in the comments, feel free to put down what team you're rooting for. You can say why if you like. But I'll be doing several videos later this week, kind of getting ready for the trip. And then I do have future Bleacher Report broadcasts coming up, as I have down here scheduled. Next shows will be Wednesday, February 14th, and Tuesday, February 27th. Both of them start at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope you guys will join me then. We'll definitely be talking post-Super Bowl, what the experience was like, and a little bit of wrap-up of the game, and also talking a little bit more about previewing free agency for the Seahawks. And then on the 27th, we'll kind of get more into, as we're getting into the deeper into the offseason, talking about the potential draft picks for the Seahawks and kind of mocking up what they might do with their picks for 2024. So it's going to be a fun off season, again, with a brand new coaching staff. I'm sure by then we'll have found out who our offensive coordinator is, who our defensive coordinator, which players we've kept, and what free agency moves lie ahead. So it's always an exciting time of the year, and of course the draft coming around the corner. So it's a exciting time. I just this is that time when you feel a little bit jealous of these teams that are in the Super Bowl, because there's nothing like having your team in the Super Bowl. Just remembering fondly 2013, 2014, the Seahawks went back-to-back. It was the 10-year anniversary of winning Super Bowl 48 on Friday last week, and spent the day reminiscing about that. I posted some of my reactions of the highlights of that epic game. And I think for most of the nation, if you weren't a Seahawks fan, it was a pretty boring Super Bowl because the Seahawks dominated and never looked back, destroying the Broncos 43-8. But for Seahawks fans, we were in hog heaven, because every play was just one big celebration after another. And for me, that was such a pivotal year because it really got me fully entrenched into doing, really at the time it was just YouTube. There was Facebook, YouTube, but there was really Instagram and Twitter weren't really quite as prominent, certainly not for people like myself who were just starting to get into the whole influencer and social media game. So it was kind of a unique place. There was no live streaming at the time. It didn't exist yet. So everything was pre-recorded, then to go back and edit the reactions after the fact. And but 2014, it's hard to believe 10 years have gone by. And, we had the heartbreak the following year, 2014. And you always think, especially if you're a team that's close or won one, you think, well, we'll be back. The Lions fans and teams thinking, oh, yeah, we were close, but we'll be back next year. And you just never know. There's some teams that go through a whole window and you get close, like the Falcons, 28-3 had that lead, never got that, and they never recovered. They never got back as close as they got. And the Seahawks, the same thing. We came to 2 Super Bowls, should have had 2. And you kept thinking, oh, we'll be back. And we got close, but never could get back there. And then now it's 10 years later since our last win. It's been a lot worse for other teams, so I can't complain. 10 years is a pretty good run to at least have had a Super Bowl win in a decade, and it's hard to get there. So a lot of pressure really on the San Francisco 49ers, because I feel like this window they have with this dream team of talent on both sides of the football isn't going to last forever. And big changes will be coming, if not this year, next year, when some of these guys' salaries start to come to fruition and changes ultimately always have to be made. So they're at a point where it's like, this is kind of like the moment they got to seize, because you don't know when you're going to get a second chance at this. And they've had a few chances along the way these last few years. So, with that, we'll wrap this broadcast up. Again, my name is NorbCam. You can find me on social media at NorbCam at the following platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. And again, I'll be on the air for Bleacher Report Live again on the 14th and the 27th at 1 p.m. We'll talk to you guys later, and if there's any breaking news, definitely we'll be covering that. So I hope you'll follow me here as well as my other social platforms and to talk more about this. And that's it. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. I'll be broadcasting from there and looking forward to sharing the experience with you all. Have a good one. Go Hawks.
This is Walter Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
Dave Burrows, you're watching NorbCam.